Thank you, Hannah. Now it's time to hear from the Kuya. Friends, Mr. Bryan Po Llamanzares.
Buti na lang may tissue dito. um, so I stayed up until 5 a.m. last night trying to write something. It was only at around 3 a.m. na talagang nagsimula ako magsulat. So pabigyan mo ako if this is kind of all over the place. It's just there are a lot of things that were going through my mind. And last night, I've been working on the wake for the past few days, and it's only last night that I really got a chance to reflect. To reflect on the 18 years of love and wisdom that my Lola gave me. So I was only 12 years old when my grandfather passed, Papa Rani. And my only regret was that I didn't get to know him. But with my Lola, I have no regrets because she gave me 18 years of that love and wisdom. And Uncle Joseph, Uncle Jeffrey, and Mama, you know, the wisdom that Mama Susan gives. It's from the heart. If you thought having a tiger mom was scary, imagine having a tiger Lola. Saan mo ba nakikita ang isang senador na natatakot sa isang barangay captain? Meet Grace Poe and Lola Flora, better known as Lola Cap. I was scared of my mom, but I was even more afraid of my Lola. She never demanded high grades from me or medals. She asked for things that were more difficult. Humility, integrity, and staying true to myself. When I was growing up, I used to listen to her stories and advice. When I was a teenager, I became a bit mayabang, and I thought I knew everything. In fact, there was this one story that she loves telling about how Walt Disney came up with the concept of Mickey Mouse. And I swear I've heard it a billion times. So by the time I was 14, there was this one time, I remember we had a family gathering and we were out in the back of the lanai and she was making kwento again, the story of Mickey Mouse. And I said, yeah, I know that na, Mama Susan. And she's like, ay, you know it na pala. And I remember my mom talking to me after saying, why were you so masungit? And you know, ito ata yung tinatawag nilang teenage angst. So, I feel like during that time, my Lola wasn't too happy with me. Like my head had grown too big. And if there was anything my Lola hated more than anything else, it's people who were mayabang. So still, as my Lola, she still tried her best to guide me. And listening to everyone's stories, I realized that she wasn't just my Lola. She was everyone else's Lola. Mom, friend, sister. And so, let me just share with you some of the most memorable advice that I got from my Mama Susan. I've only been called to the house 3 times in my entire life. So, when my mom says, anak, I don't know what you did, pero tinatawag ka ng lola mo, you should go. I go. So you can imagine, this struck fear in my heart, but there was always good advice. It's just, maybe at the time I didn't realize it, but now that I'm older, I really understand and appreciate it. So the first time I got called to the house was in an awkward time in my life. I call it awkward because at this point in time, I was trying to be an artista. Yeah, so that was quite the phase. So she called me to the house probably because of how ridiculous I looked. My mom's laughing kasi kahit summer, I was wearing a leather jacket. Kala ko I could be FPJ, no? Malayo. Anyway, so she called me because she wanted to tell me She wanted to tell me, don't try to be like your lolo. You have to find your own path. Well, me at the time, I took it personally. I was like, I don't know, I have the jacket na. I don't know. I don't know what I'm missing here. I'll start singing Kumusta Ka kung kailangan. But I realized that what she was actually trying to tell me was to be myself. And now that I think about it, Fernando Po III or FP3 probably wouldn't fly. So the second time I got called to the house was because I started a career as a reporter, as a journalist. And she was so happy. She told me she felt like it was a strength of mine and that maybe reporting could be my path because it combined communication and public service. She reminded me though that I always had to do my best. But I think secretly she was happy because sa mga ibang news channels, pwede mag-English. Mas bagay daw ako doon. I said that in Tagalog, Mama Susan. Just so you know. Now the third time I got called to the house, it was for my love life naman. So she told me, think about who you will end up with. And I was like, oh, here we go. Dahil siyang magiging nanay ng mga anak mo. Isipin mo mabuti. Kasi kung puro sexy lang yan, anong sasabihin ng mga classmates ng anak mo? So, and that wasn't even the funniest part. The funniest part was she paused for a second and then she said, well, I don't know. Iba naman yung generation mo. Siguro if I was that young and had that body, maybe I would. And then she paused. But then again, that's not what we were taught. In true Sampaguita fashion. Years passed and I stopped going to the house because I felt like she was always upset with me. Or I was always doing something wrong. I felt like she probably didn't like me that much because I would visit so little and because when I was younger, I was hard-headed and fresh, as she would call me. What I didn't realize at the time was that she was just trying to guide me in the right direction. As I got older, all I cared about was just making her proud. So every achievement, every certificate, every feature, I would send it to her hoping she would be proud of me. Especially when I was awarded as People Asia's Men Who Matter, not because of the award, but because the cover of the magazine was none other than Jun Bin. So aside from that, every little chance I got to give back to my Lola and let her know that I had achieved something new in my life, I would. Like the first time when I became chief of staff for my mom called me and said, you should let your Lola know. And you should also kind of give her a little bit from your paycheck. I was like, yes, that's correct. Because it's not that my Lola needed the money. It was the gesture and the fact that I thought about her that really mattered. So every trip I took, every school I went to, every place I visited, I would send home pasalubong. At first, she used to text me to say thank you. And then she had this space where she was sending video messages to say thank you. One trip nga, I sent home small lemon trees. And she sent me back a video months later showing the lemons that had grown from it. And then it became my Uncle Joseph or Uncle Jeffrey who would say thank you in her behalf. And then it became handwritten notes saying thank you. And I had no idea that it was getting harder and harder for her to send me her love. But she never stopped trying. And then her last note to me was a note saying, "You're so thoughtful. Thanks a lot." And I didn't make much of it at the time because I didn't realize how difficult it was for her to write it. But When she passed away, it dawned on me how difficult it must have been for her to write that last note. The words "you are" were in block letters. Thanks had a scribbled S. But the message was clear that she really appreciated the pasalubong I gave her. She couldn't text anymore, she couldn't send videos, and yet she wrote me that note. It made me realize that in the end, Mama Susan knew I was always thinking about her. And maybe I didn't visit often or talk with her that much, but she knew I always remembered her. And though she didn't get to enjoy the last pasalubong I gave her, I think that's when the saying, "It's the thought that counts," that really rings true. I didn't know she was gonna pass so soon. If you want to know what the last conversation was that I had with her and what it was about, she reminded me to treat women right, to feel free to date, and maybe it won't work out, but to be careful with the girl's heart. She reminded me that I should look for a partner, someone who could complement me and grow with me. And then we circled back to hindi pwede puro sexy, sexy. I don't know why you don't trust me. So, speaking of love, when I was 10 years old, I sang "Can't Help Falling in Love with You" by Elvis Presley for her. It made her so happy. Back when I was young and singing was still cute. So I won't sing for you today. But now I know, thanks to Uncle Eddie's story, how much it must have meant to Mama Susan because of how starstruck she was with Elvis. No, but really, Mama Susan, I will miss you. And I love you very much. Your advice about love and being true to myself and working hard, I will keep that close to my heart. So, goodbye, and say hi to Papa Ronnie for me.